9:30 a.m. CST. To everyone, it's good evening to the people who have joined in from this part of the world, and to the people who have joined from the West. It's a good morning. Nonetheless, it's definitely a beautiful day, and it's truly a divine intervention that today we're going to have this discussion and the launch of Swami Mukundananda's book, which is The Power of Thoughts. And it's a privilege to have Swarup Ravalji with us to be in discussion on this book, telling you a little bit more about the book and also about Swami Mukundanandaji. But I feel blessed to have a copy of the book much before the launch, and especially I believe books, special books, have their own limbs, and they come to you walking when you need them the most. Almost a couple of days ago, when I was in a lot of dilemma and there were a lot of thoughts, while Swamiji says there are close to 60,000 thoughts, I think I was undergoing close to 180,000 thoughts. I was thinking around three things, and this book came to me. The book has some remarkable stories and lessons, and also something that we can actually apply in our day-to-day life. This is a bedside book for everyone. Definitely a giftable book to whom you believe needs it the most. It will reach on its own. It doesn't need anything else, but it just needs an intent. It needs the power of the thought for the right reader to get the book. Irrespective of whether you read a page or two, I'm sure it has pearls of wisdom for each and every one of us, especially connecting it to the examples that we already know. And as Swamiji has mentioned about a story and an instance, and has given a reference of the three monkeys of Mahatma Gandhi, the three principles that Mahatma Gandhi always followed. Today we have a very young, bright musician with us. He is Arsh, a class 10th student, a blogger, a debating enthusiast, a musician, and so much so that he loves to have a lot of buffet wherever he goes with his parents. And so much as that he is a geopolitics enthusiast as well. So if you want to know why there are some wars happening, this class 10th student with his immense curiosity can tell you something. And I guess the music is definitely one of the reasons why he's always curious and he's always very focused. Today Arsh will sing the bhajan Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram for us, and that's how we'll launch the book. Arsh, over to you, please.
Thank you, Mohit sir. I'm extremely delighted and grateful for this opportunity. I'll try to sing a few lines from the bhajan Raghupati Raghav with my guitar.
Oh, thank you very much, Harsh. I think in the book, Swamiji has mentioned the difference between pleasure and happiness. To me, when I bought a guitar, it was a moment of pleasure. I could never play it. It was my unhappiness. But when Arsh played it, this is happiness, this is bliss, and that's what the pursuit of happiness to all of us is. With this, I now request Swarup Ravalji with a formal introduction to her. She's an educationalist. She is also a social reformer, and to many of us, she is that sweet, cute Kusum from Ye Jo Hai Zindagi and the former Miss India. And now her entire work is focused upon bringing transformation into the education system. And her involvement with the Indic knowledge system has made her a Sanskrit enthusiast. She is a patron of City Book Leaders and the group of Sanskrit that we have, where we love to explore our scriptures in a very different perspective so that we all can be more aware and we can really cherish the power of thoughts from our Indic system. With this note, I request Swaroopji to introduce Swamiji as well as get into the discussion. Dhanyavad, Swaroopji.
Namaskar. Thank you, Mohit. Pranam, Swamiji. It is my honor to be here, and I'm so glad to be talking to you and interacting with you. Swamiji, you've mentioned so well about how thoughts are generated. So, what exactly were your thoughts when you thought of writing this book? And for whom is it written exactly? In the sense is that um, what do you want to tell by this book, about thoughts, etc.?
Namaste, Swaroopji. It's indeed a pleasure to be here speaking to you on the power of thoughts. You have started off by wanting to get a peek into what are my thoughts.
Yes, definitely. I'm a life skill educator, so I just love to get into other people's minds and think about, see what they're thinking about. And we would really like to know, Swamiji.
Sure, sure. When I was in middle school, by a matter of probably chance, I came in touch with a new age book which had some pop psychology theories, but it fascinated my young mind at that time. And the name of the book just stuck, Energizing the 12 Powers of Your Mind. And that introduced me to thoughts. And since that day, I started playing around with thoughts, reaching a thoughtless state, working on enhancing the positive thoughts and channelizing and focusing the thoughts. And then when my journey became spiritual, then I started developing devotional thoughts and understanding what are divine thoughts. Now, your question is, why have I written this book and for whom is it meant?
Yeah.
So, Swaroopji, be prepared for the answer. This book is meant for anybody who thinks, which means everyone. Well, when we wish to help others, there are different ways of doing it. There was a time when humankind did not have access to motorized vehicles for traveling. They had to depend on their own feet. They had to utilize horses or bullock carts, etc. And when the motor vehicle came along, it created such a huge shift in the way humankind was doing things. Likewise, we are all focused on improving our actions, and we are focused on grappling with our experience of happiness. We all do think, but we don't realize the importance of thoughts behind all that we do. So, the aim of the book is to bring people to this point where they think more about thoughts and put in their hands some powerful tools which can help them enhance their thoughts, cultivate noble thoughts, and utilizing their power, enrich every aspect of their life. Now, people say, I want to be happy. It's the universal common urge of
Yes.
humankind to be a happier person. But we cannot be happier unless we have happier thoughts. So, thoughts are the seeds of our experiences, our emotions. One person was so disappointed. Oh my God, I have to clean up my house, my family, this Papu Tinku, my children, and my husband or wife, and hey Bhagavan.
Hmm.
And then I said, okay, let me try making him or her a happier person. I said, look, don't you feel that if this indicates you have a house and a family, why not consider the blessings that you have received and feel gratitude? Now that person changed her perspective to the situation. It was the same situation, but she started realizing that this is a sign of blessing. I have got a family, and that's why I have to clean up after them. I have a house, and that's why I need to take care of this mess. Oh God, you are so kind. Now, by changing her thoughts, she did a positive reframing and she experienced happiness. That is why thoughts are so fundamental to our human experience. And I wanted to help people connect with this potential and utilize it for themselves.
Super. So I want to say something to you is that, listening to you talk, I realized one thing that I needed to talk to the audience about you is that Swamiji has been, well, obviously, you know from the way he talks already that he speaks in such a humorous way. His arguments are so logical and well laid out. And he divides his time between India and USA because I was asking him, Swamiji, where do you live? And then he told me that he's half the times in Vrindavan and right now he's in Connecticut. So we're honored to be speaking to you. I would like to tell my audience today that Swamiji actually has degrees from the prestigious IIT Delhi and IIM Calcutta. And he renounced a corporate career to study Veds under the feet with Jagadguru Kripaluji Maharaj. And I think we are blessed that you did that. But it's so interesting because I don't understand why Swamijis should not be well educated. I think in our Indian knowledge system, everybody is so educated. So, we have such a warped thought about, how people should be. And, so it's so interesting talking to you who's had, Western education and, Indian, deep spiritual Indian education. So why, Swamiji, should we bother about thoughts? And you just told us about how it impacts us. But there's one very interesting thing you've mentioned in your book is about satsang. The activity, a lot of us say we pray to God, but we don't want to do satsangs. And, we look down on that and things like that. But you said that it's a very important activity to generate thoughts of wellness. Can you please tell us a bit about that?
Okay, Swaroopji, firstly, I was delighted to hear this from you. Then why should not Swamis be educated?
Exactly.
All my life, I keep hearing people telling me, you got good education. How come you became a Swamiji?
To interrupt you, I would like to say that it's so sad that people think like that because जिन्होंने हमारे शास्त्र लिखे हैं वो तो बहुत educated थे.
Yes,
Isn't
that's
it
right.
true? Yes. So
That's right. See, the Bhagavad Gita says, Raja Vidyam Raja Guhyam Pavitra Midam Uttamam. Oh Arjun, this spiritual science which I am teaching you, This is the king of knowledge. And then again the Bhagavad Gita says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. One who is truly in knowledge, who has really understood creation, its purpose, its source, surrenders unto the Lord. So the culmination of knowledge is in devotion.
Really.
You have asked me, Swarup about the importance of satsang.
Satsang, yes.
One man purchased a parrot. Now, slowly, the parrot started developing a cough. And this man was worried. And he took the parrot to a veterinarian doctor. The doctor suggested varieties of cures, but none of them seemed to work. He would tell him, okay, try this one particular medicine. It would be tried for 2 weeks and then nothing would happen. Then it would be tried for another couple of weeks. Finally, the veterinarian doctor said that, do you smoke? He said, yes. So the doctor said, because of your smoking, you are coughing. And the parrot is only copying your cough because it's in your company. So
yes, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So that is the impact of bad association. Now, bad association in our scriptures is called kusang.
Yes.
Association that makes our mind worldly. There is no shortage of that in today's digital world, where through all kinds of devices, worldly things are being poured into us. But that is not necessarily good for our health. Now, people who are conscious about their holistic health, they realize that they must avoid putting junk food into their mouth. That the stomach is not meant to be a garbage can. It should receive food that is nutritious and health giving. But we don't concern ourselves about the diet we provide to our mind. So things that we see, that we hear, that we smell, that we taste. Now the mental diet is coming through all the 5 senses. And that is why in the book, I have put in that line about the 3 monkeys, because Mahatma Gandhi put it so well. Na sunbura, dekhpura, bolbura. So you control the diet to the mind and do the reverse, which is satsang. This word satsang, it consists of 2 roots, sat and sang. Sat means the truth.
Yes.
And sang means association.
Yes.
So satsang is that association of good people, of holy personalities, which enables us to enrich our mind with divine wisdom, and which provides us with an environment by which we can take our mind to the Supreme. So satsang is highly praised in the scriptures. The Veda Vyas has written in the Bhagavatam, Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukrameshyati. The first thing that will happen, of course, is that you will get good knowledge.
Yeah.
But through satsang, you will develop faith in that knowledge. This faith is even more effective than the COVID, because COVID, still takes time. Now, if one person has got strong faith in the sacred scriptures and the divine wisdom, and you associate with that person, so it comes on to you as well. So in satsang, we develop the faith, then we develop interest in divine subjects, and finally, we develop bhakti in our heart. That's the power of satsang.
So I would like to share something interesting with you, Swamiji.
Sure.
Is that, as you know, we've had our national education policy, which has come 2020. And in that, we have started, there is an inclusion of the thing called Indian knowledge system. So I work very close in education and with Indic knowledge system. And I'm so happy it's getting credit now. That's why I love the thing about your 4 Vanis you have mentioned. I would be really grateful if you could explain the relevance of Vanis and how it impacts our learning experience. And as I'm saying it, I'll ask you the second question along with it. And that is, how would it benefit teachers and parents? Because I'm sure when it benefits teachers, it benefits students. So how do the Vanis impact our learning experience?
Firstly, Swaroopji, really delighted to know about these changes that are coming about in our national education policy,
Yes.
and thrilled to know that you are having the privilege of working on it.
Yes,
So,
I'm blessed.
yes, it's about high time that such changes were brought about.
Yes.
Uh, in my book, I've talked about these 4 Vanis. The question that arises in the minds of people, there's a huge debate in the scientific community among neurologists on what is the nature of thoughts.
Okay.
So the scientific world is divided here. In most of science, it takes a reductionist approach that it's just neurochemical reactions in the neurons of the brain that are what thoughts are.
Yes.
So they tend to look on thoughts as just some chemical and electrical reactions
Yeah.
taking place. However, thoughts have a metaphysical aspect. And this confusion also exists when it comes to the nature of the mind which is creating the thoughts. What is the mind? Now we can't see the mind, we can't touch the mind. So in the present level of evolution of science, they have jumped to the conclusion that the mind is the brain. So the brain is like the hardware, right? And the mind is a higher energy which is accessing the brain.
True.
But the brain is right here, and the mind is in the heart and permeates the whole body.
Yes.
That is why people say put your heart into it. When they say put your heart, the heart is a physical thing.
Yes.
But what they mean is they understand intuitively that the mind is out here.
Yes.
So one amazing experiment was conducted by a scientist called Roger Perry, for which he got the Nobel Prize. Roger Perry was looking on this hypothesis that is the mind the brain, or is the mind something more than the brain? He took epileptic patients, those who get epileptic seizures.
Yes. Yes.
And what happens is if the seizure is severe, it travels from the left hemisphere to the right hemisphere, and then the whole body gets frozen. So he did the operation surgery called corpus callosotomy, where you split the left and right hemispheres.
Okay.
And that person who undergoes the surgery still functions as a normal human being. Now imagine sawing a computer half and then realizing it is still working fine.
Yeah.
So this showed that the mind is independent of the brain. Now, with that understanding, I have explained in this book the nature of thoughts and said, look, there are some thoughts where we use words for communicating and are thinking with them. Now, that is communicated speech. There are other thoughts which are in the mind, not communicated, but we are thinking with the help of words.
Right.
So most of humankind is using that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
And then there is subtler thinking where you think without the help of words.
Right.
So the speed itself is so much faster out there.
Yeah.
And then there are epiphanies or moments of understanding that just you get to know in a moment, aha, I
Yes.
have
Yes.
understood,
Yeah.
right? So our academic system is focused on the cerebral learning. Too
True.
much of emphasis on the brain power.
Yes.
Right. So that has got its limits when it comes to creativity, when it comes to these moments of epiphany. So if we can somehow have an aspect of education where we teach students to let the conscious mind relax and let the subconscious mind now float
Right.
around, creating connections and
Yes.
coming up with new ideas, we might then catapult these children into another sphere, into realizing another aspect of the potential of their thoughts.
Yes, that's so true. And since I work with them in creative thinking and, understanding emotions and understanding self, I really get what you're talking about. But there's a second part of the question which aapne jawab nahi diya. How would
Okay.
it benefit our teachers and parents? And Swamiji, I really understand how our children need their parents to understand. So, वो लोग तो कभी समझ भी जाते हैं, but parents are on a different trip altogether. So can you please
Yeah.
tell us a bit about that?
Yes. So, see, the consequence of the kind of education that they are receiving and that is being imparted is the development of cognitive intelligence.
Yes,
You know, but there are other aspects of the human experience. There's emotional intelligence,
yes,
and then there is also spiritual intelligence where you have abstract thoughts. You ponder over ethics that, okay, GMO is fine, but how does it connect with the entire creation and how does it solve the bigger issues in our life,
yes,
etc. So, if we can shift people above mere cognitive thinking, then we help them tap into other aspects of their mind. So they realize that there is a thing called empathy, right?
yes,
Empathy is not taught in schools,
yes,
but empathy means to become aware of the feelings of the others, to
yes,
develop caring sentiments for them.
yes.
And
Compassion.
that's right, compassion. And then there's spiritual thinking. And okay, I'm learning how to be an engineer so that I can earn money. But what is the purpose of my life? Right? So the bigger questions in our life. So we
Yes,
help people change their perspective. It's like if somebody is looking at a thing from 10 feet height and you suddenly take them to 30,000 feet altitude. And then
yes,
their whole vision changes. Oh my
right.
God, there's so many opportunities and
Yes,
so much of scope for growth, etc. It changes their perspective to
perspective.
all of life.
Absolutely. And now I'm going to take you on to something that's a little bit different.
Sure.
Um, uh, every part of my class has a thing called reflection. So it's thinking, but it is like thinking quietly for some time. So I want to talk to you. I want you to talk to us about solitude time. I think that's really important part of your book and what you are, suggesting and, what you're sharing with us. So can you give us a bit, a little glimpse on that solitude time?
Sure. Sure. Definitely, Swaroopji. You're very right to develop the power of our thoughts. Solitude is essential. We are running in the world, and this overworks our mind and brain.
True.
So any machinery needs a little off time to recuperate. And we all know that if we don't switch off our computers, they are going to then stop working. Likewise, solitude is the time when you rest and recuperate the mental energies. Besides that, solitude helps learning catch up with experience. So you keep on having experiences, and some people say that experience is the best teacher, but
Yeah.
I disagree. I say evaluated experience is the best teacher, right? So we had so many experiences. Now, when you go into solitude, you get the opportunity to look back and to reflect, and then we let learning catch up with us.
Yes.
And likewise, solitude helps us to get a perspective on our life. So, in that humdrum of in the crisis mode, putting a fire off out here and handling a crisis there, we forget the bigger issues. And ultimately, what is my intention behind everything that I'm doing? So, solitude helps us nourish ourselves from within. And this power of thoughts can be cultivated through solitude. So, I have given certain tools. The first one, of course, is self awareness, where you read yourself and understand your weaknesses and the virtues you wish you need to develop. And the second is contemplation. Now, this contemplation means mental practice.
Right.
Everything that we accomplished was every skill that we acquired was a consequence of practice. And practice led to mastery. But mental practice is so much more powerful. Now, let us say that somebody decides that I need to become more tolerant. But every time there's a provocation in the environment, they realize they have flared up. Now, instead of that, if they practice it mentally, okay, let me visualize a situation where there is a provocation and I'm learning not to react from my lower self, but to evaluate it from my higher self. So when we practice it within ourselves again and again and again, the real situation comes. We find that we have a much better grip on it. So God has endowed our mind with such abilities that by practicing, and this is what is called chintan. Chintan means the repetition of thought.
Yes.
When chintan is out of control, it becomes chinta. Chinta is worry. And when it is brought into control, then it becomes chintan. So an example of chinta is a student who says, oh my God, I failed in my exams. Ab kya hoga? Now there is no hope. What will I say to my parents? How will I show my face to my friends? And that chinta, that repetition of thought says life is useless, go and commit suicide. So suicide was a consequence of thoughts. But that same power, when it is diverted in the positive direction, look, this human life is so precious. And God has given me the air to breathe, the earth to walk upon. He's given me these 630 muscles and 205 bones and 100 billion neurons in my brain. I must put it to good use. I must put it to good use. When that thought is repeated, the consequence will be a lot of enthusiasm and inspiration will develop. So all this working of the mind can be accomplished in solitude.
This is so fantastic because I was just talking to my sons today in the morning, and we were talking about so much violence around. We were just talking on particular violence. So I will just share that with you. And of course,
Sure.
it applies to everything. So I said that the WHO has a manual on violence prevention, and there are 10 prevention points. Of course, there's roti, kapda, makan, and then there is gun control and alcohol control and, drug abuse. But the three very important ones are understanding and managing emotions, understanding empathy, and, understanding yourself. Or aapne yahi kaha, that this is exactly what you said. And I wish I'd thought of this when I was talking to them. I was talking in a very cognitive way about it. And, I stand corrected. And I'm really happy to know this because it seriously just happened in the morning, and we were talking about how violence should be prevented. And it's this thought, that's a great takeaway for me, that the chintan that you do, the practice of the
Mm,
mind, which,
yes.
when you are going to flare up, agar itna kiya hai chintan, to, you would manage that flare up, because in everyone's lives we do find situations where, we are needled or we're upset, or, how do we do and how do we handle this very well? So I think this is going to be a great book. Like Mohit said, bedside book. I think it should really be kept near the bedside, so we can keep on reading it, whenever we have some problem, and, we can read. I'm so looking forward to actually getting to read this book, not just the PDF. I mean,
Well,
holding a book in the hand is such a beautiful thing. So, Mohit, shall we take questions before I ask
Yes,
one?
yes, yes, Sarupji.
Yes.
We have some of our
How
patrons.
lovely. That's really
Uh,
nice.
we have
So I
Rajiv
can
is,
see Rajiv and Raji in front of
yeah,
me.
yeah. So that's where
Namaskar.
the
So,
synchronous names Raji and Rajiv.
yeah, so
Raji
shall we
joins
let
us
the
from
lady go first, Rajiv?
absolutely. Raji joins us
Yes.
from
And
Dubai.
especially because I'm a girl, that's all.
You're the
no, we
creator.
live by ladies first still. Yes.
Yes. So, Raji, you go. Raji?
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, Swaroopji. It is such a pleasure listening to Swamiji and Swaroopji talk. Thank you, Mohitji, for this opportunity. I came in to listen. One question that keeps haunting me, and especially during the tough time, there's some problem at our home as well. So I came in to listen how we can have positive thoughts when you're challenged with a difficult situation such as your loved one is not keeping well, some serious illness. I understand that faith is all that we have, and grace of Swami is all that we hope for being an extremely, me being an extremely positive person myself, and I think our family is also the same way. But even then, Swamiji, it becomes an emotional toil when you see that you're so helpless uh, in certain situations. And so, what do we do in such cases? We, of course, pray. We have quite a bit of, lot of faith, and we just expect grace from Swamiji. But human beings, I think, irrespective of whatever positive person, however positive you are, and whatever positive thoughts that you want to cultivate, certain realities do strike in, and at that point in time negative thoughts do seep in. It's unavoidable. Sometimes it comes because you're practical. So I don't know. What should we
Yes,
do in such
Raji.
cases?
Okay, thank you for your question. Definitely, faith is a big element here. Faith helps us remember that there is an all kind, all powerful God who's taking care of things and who's protecting everyone. And at the same time, adversities or our loved ones being unwell does result in worry. the way to go beyond worry is to find a different perspective to the same situation. It's not just about one kind of adversity that we face. We seem to be moving from adversity to adversity all our life. Isn't it? That's how it goes on at the micro level and then again at the macro level. At the micro level, you have one challenge, you solve a health problem and it's a family problem. You solve that, you move to a professional problem and then a financial problem. So if our peace requires that everything is going well, then we will be always struggling with circumstances. And our sacred books tell us to try and find a peace within that is irrespective of circumstances. That will require changing of our values with the help of wisdom. What do I mean by that? We look for a comfortable, secure, familiar situation. But the purpose of life is not to be comfortable. The purpose of life is to grow from within, to go deeper and find more wisdom, more tolerance, more faith, more self-control. And these challenges are always pushing us out of our comfort zone. If we did not experience these kinds of challenges, then we would be naturally gravitate to a situation where we just remain where we are. And the grand design of this universe is such that there are adversities and challenges and growth which happens in the process. So look on that illness of a loved one as an opportunity for growth for that person, where they have to become emotionally stronger, spiritually stronger, right? So you help them in their journey, and for yourself as well, to look on what these relationships mean for you. What is the reality of these relationships? Hence, the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita starts from lamentation. Arjuna is in lamentation. So that is Vishad. And the first chapter is named by Ved Vyas as Arjun Vishad. But that lamentation became a springboard to divine wisdom. And Arjun just received clarity about all of life. Because it was triggered from an adverse situation, hence the title of the chapter is Arjun Vishad Yog. So the trick out here is to take every adversity and put it in, reframe it in such a way where each becomes a learning opportunity. I hope that helps you.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
I'm taking this book to Raji in Dubai, Swamiji. And from Rajiv, we move to Rajiv Gupta.
Rajiv, yes.
Rajiv, yes. And many
Okay.
times Rajiv is known as a spiritual CEO wherever he goes. And from a highly commercial world, his thoughts are very spiritual. And Rajiv sir, over to you, please.
Thank you. What a blessing to listen to you, Swamiji and Swaroopji. So my question is that, as you mentioned, 60,000 thoughts. So thoughts are mostly voluntary. And from whatever one has read or experienced, one knows that it should not be completely involuntary. We should be in control to some extent. So when you intellectually have this construct, look, I should be thinking right, you make a conscious effort. But then very soon you fall flat on your face. And again, that involuntary thoughts, take over. And then again, you're in that vicious loop. So this constant struggle, or like a boxing match between voluntary and involuntary, at least for me, most of the times the involuntary succeeds, knowing fully well that the voluntary should. And how do you make your, default state slightly more, if not completely, slightly more inclined or aligned towards being more in control and thinking right? That's my question.
Yes, Rajiv, this is a big problem for all of humankind. They take their thoughts too seriously. See, when first of all, they don't realize that they are not the mind. So because they associate so deeply with the mind, when the mind creates a thought or emotion, they identify with it. Oh no, I'm in a bad mood. When will my mood become all right? Why am I thinking like this? Right. So the first thing requirement here is to distance yourself a little bit from the mind. And that gives you a tool. And when a thought comes, that doesn't make you feel good. Say, Acha, my mind is playing mischief. Okay, I will stay away from this thought. Right? So the missing knowledge out here is that we are not the mind and we are not obliged to accept every thought that the mind presents to us. The mind says, oh, let me do this. Say, Swamiji, why am I thinking like this? Well, you don't have to. And when we adopt a thought, it gets energized. Now, birds are flying in the sky, they just happen to fly away. Likewise, this mind suggests 60,000 thoughts. They come and they will go the next moment. But the moment we accept it, that, oh, I have thought like this, it was a bad thought, I should not have thought, I'm feeling guilty about it. Now we have energized the thought. Now it's not going to leave us, it will become stronger and stronger and stronger. So that is why in the book I have given a 3-step formula. The first is to dilute the thought, which means you distance yourself from it. And your own feeling is the best parameter in this. When you think good thoughts, your feeling tells you, aha, yes, that's how I should be thinking. You know, thoughts of kindness, of compassion, of positivity, of optimism, of hope. And the moment the negative thoughts come, our feeling changes. So we know that this unholy critter has come in. Create a distance from it. And then the second is you substitute the thought. So if the thought came to you that my life will be a complete failure, kuch to hoga nahi, or my business is not going to succeed, now separate it. Well, substitute it. Look, so many people's business succeeds, and I have made my business a success so often. Why will this not succeed? The grace of God is there. Right? So you practice thought substitution. And then the third is sublimation. You create a stream of positive thoughts. And when you start creating a stream, then the neural pathways get created. And once you have the brain is supporting your mind with the neural pathways, then thinking positive thoughts becomes a second nature. But to get there requires a little bit of patience, a little bit of perseverance, a little bit of dedication. So that is where people either say, why put in the effort, or they give up too easily, right? But it's a tried and tested formula that just like you can bring about changes in other aspects of your life, you can do the same with your thoughts as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mohit, Ashok ji wants to ask a question. Can we have one quick question?
Yeah, I think we can have.
Yes, yes, Ashok ji. I think Mohit, you will have to unmute.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. Ashok ji.
Namaskar, Swami Mukundananda ji and Swarup Rawal ji. Very interesting interaction. Thoughts occur to us. We are the observers of thoughts. We are not the thoughts, we observe thoughts. We are who observe thoughts. And as you said, 60,000 thoughts pass through our mind. I have been observing my thoughts for a very long time because I feel it's a kind of tapasya to observe your thoughts and respond to only those which can make a difference, not only in your life, but also in the lives of others. And you gave a very good suggestion that solitude, and through solitude, reflecting on your thoughts, which can make a difference, is very, very important. And it also makes you aware who you really are. It's a process, it's a journey. It doesn't happen like this. Maybe it happens, I don't know. But when you observe your thoughts, good thoughts do occur, not so good thoughts occur to you. So the question that I'm asking you is, how do you go about sifting? I follow a process where thoughts occur to me, I just observe it and say, thank you very much. You occur to me, I'm grateful to you. Carry on. But maybe you have a better way of suggesting as to how do you go about sifting the powerful thoughts that occur to you from the many thoughts that happen. That's my question. And I would be grateful if you could answer it, because
all right.
we are talking about power of thoughts, and certainly thoughts are very, very powerful. They can change the world. So your take on it, sir. Thank you.
Definitely, Dr. Ashok, thank you for your question. It seems to me that you have been watching your thoughts and trying to control them for quite some time now. Very happy to see your efforts. What you have been doing possibly can be labeled as Sakshi Bhav, where you become a witness to your thoughts.
Absolutely.
So right. So Sakshi Bhav is an enhanced form of mindfulness, which has become so popular in the West. Mindfulness is like the entry to spirituality. Mindfulness is great where you watch your mind, but Sakshi Bhav also includes the knowledge of the self, that I am the soul, I am not the mind. So you realize that the mind is separate from you. Now you have been practicing that, and your question is now what to do to strengthen the good thoughts. Well, I would like to offer two suggestions. The first is that you don't just wait for good thoughts to happen. You take the reins of your mind in your own hand. That's called intentional thinking, where you say, okay, my dear mind, I need you to think like this. I need you to think gratitude. I need you to think faith. I need you to think happiness, right? So this is a completely different kind of a perspective where we wait for happiness to come. Now imagine choosing happiness. I choose to be happy. Factually, that ability is with us. If we master the mind, we can then make the mind think as we wish. And that is what the Bhagavad Gita says, that this mind will be, if it becomes your master, it will be the worst enemy. But if it becomes your servant, it will be your best friend. So we need to take the reins of the mind in our own hands and do more and more of intentional thinking. So it does take a lot of energy. That is why Einstein said that thinking is hard work. That is why so few people do it. What he was referring to was not involuntary thinking, which is happening to us, but voluntary thinking, where you decide, I need to think creative thoughts today. So you have to put energy in it, and slowly, slowly, the mind will become more and more nimble by engaging in intentional thinking. And the second piece of wisdom I'd like to share with you is think about how to go beyond the Sakshi Bhav. How can I purify my mind? Okay, if the mind gets purified, it will automatically generate good thoughts. Now, I like telling this joke of a village in India that was surviving of one well. There's so many villages in India. Swaroopji is aware that the whole village lives off one well. And a dog fell into the well. So as it died, the water putrefied and it was causing disease to the villagers. They went to a sage in a nearby village and said, Mahatma Ji, we are in big problem. What to do? He said that, look, a well fills up from below. So you keep on emptying the water from above and it'll keep filling up from below. And soon after 5,000-10,000 buckets, you'll have a clean well again. They did it over a period of 15 days. And they went back to him, Guruji, that water in the well is still stinking. What to do? And why did your remedy not work? So Guruji said, did you remove the dead dog from the well? They said, that we forgot. So, likewise, is this mind.
Yes.
Now the mind is impure, right?
You need to remove that.
You need to see, how can I purify the mind? And here is what all the saints have told us, the simple remedy of all the religious traditions of the world. What is the remedy? Why don't you engage in devotion to God? When you attach your mind to the all pure, then the mind will get purified. And this bhakti, which our scriptures are talking about, is not some old-fashioned thing. It's the most powerful remedy for purifying the mind, to help it then present you with good, noble, positive, optimistic thoughts. Thank you, Dr. Ashok.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Swamiji. And I want to read this for everyone. Swamiji meets hundreds, even thousands of people every day from all walks of life. His steadfast positivity exudes hope, clarity, and sense of purpose to those who connect with him. He deeply affects the lives of millions of people. And Swamiji, 56 of us today are really blessed to have met you and talked with you, or listened to you. And you have given us a lot of hope. I know I speak for everybody who's listening in. There's so much clarity. I know as soon as I finish this talk, I'm going to sit down to write down everything you have said. Even though it's in the book, when you write it down, it's really nice. And to end this fabulous talk, even though I don't want it to end, I'm going to hand it over to somebody who I've been blessed to learn from, Sampadananji. I'm so happy to see you today. He is my Sanskrit guru, and I have learned so much from you, Guruji. So over to you, Sampadananji.
Namaskar, Swamiji. And namaskar,
Namaste, namaste.
Thank you, Mohit, for giving me this honor to be here and extend the word of thanks. So just the message when I got the Swamiji is going to be present and then talking about his book on the power of thoughts. So there was a joy. It refreshed my memory. 11th of March 2019. That was the day when we met Swamiji at university in Odisha. So we had a one-day full seminar.
Oh, yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah. And then it was an opportunity to be with Swamiji full day and listen to him, and also share our thoughts on how spirituality is the very key to the foundation of India. That was the topic on which we had a full day seminar in Jagadguru Kripaluji University in Odisha. So yes, listening to Swamiji on power of thoughts, and of course, I mean, millions of people watch his videos and his talks, full of stories, full of jokes, full of insightful, materials from life experiences. And today's topic and this book especially, and as Swarupji was mentioning about the NEP and the importance that has been given to the Indian knowledge system, and the issues that we face today with the young children, with ourselves, and with the parents, it's a very relevant topic that everyone should know and then dive deep into this aspect of thought. So this power of thought is definitely a topic that we all need to think of. And our ancient seers and sages were so, uh, you know, they have worked out, they have thought about the thoughts so minutely. So they say that Anu Bhadra Kratavo Yantu Vishwata. What a profound mantra, that noble thoughts, no evil thoughts, no ill thoughts. And as I was gathering, listening, and gathering my thoughts around what was expressed by and how the conversation took place, it was amazing. And it's just, I reorganized the thing, and the little bit of practice which I do, following the 4 stages of this thought power, by observing, by watching over, by controlling and mastering. These are the 4 stages that we must observe our thoughts, then watch over, control, and have mastery over thoughts. That we become the master, that we need, whenever we need to allow a particular thought, we allow it. We become the master of thoughts. That's where we have to reach, but it needs tremendous, as Swamiji pointed out, it needs sincerity, it needs aspiration, it needs perseverance, it needs regularity. Without all these things, without putting all these things into discipline, it's extremely difficult to have control over our thoughts. And if there is no control over our thoughts, then we cannot really achieve something or anything in life. It is the concentration, it is the control over the thoughts which give us the actual strength to move ahead in achieving whatever is our aspiration. So it was amazing to have you, Swamiji. It was indeed a blessings and honor for all of us. And then to that was added Swarupji's comment and her questions, very relevant questions. And the questions asked by the viewers, Rajivji, Rajeji, Ashokji. I hope there would have been more questions, more timing. And Mohit has been always active in organizing such talks and programs. So I wish more sessions from you, Swamiji, in future. And because it's ended, you make it so relevant and so so amazing to listen to you, so full of stories and practical examples that makes things very relevant. So really happy to be a part of this, and dhanyawad, express my deep sense of gratitude to all of you. धन्यवाद।
Thank you. धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद संपत जी। और जैसा स्वामी जी ने कहा, what Swamiji has also written in the book, it's all about the sangat. So it's all about creating this community. I'm very thankful to Lipika ji, to Shreya ji in Dallas, to Pooja ji, and to my colleague Ridhima here, and to everyone who could join in today. But deep gratitude to Arsh, who could take out time and also sing the bhajan for us. Yes. And to every one of you from both the parts of the world, to be part of this Sangat. It would be lovely to see you, Swamiji, in India very soon. And it would be a pleasure to meet you.
Yes.
Namaste. It was
Namaste.
indeed a pleasure connecting with all of you. Sampadananji, thanks for reminding me that we spent a full day together at the Jagadguru Kripaluji University. Swaroopji, what a pleasure to be speaking to you on this topic which is so close to me. And Mohit, wonderful connecting with you online today. Looking forward to meeting you in person.
बहुत बहुत
Namaskar.
धन्यवाद.
Namaskar.
शुभ रात्रि.
Shubh Ratri.